He slapped me. In front of everyone. His hand cracked against my cheek like a firework splitting the silence, and for a moment the entire backyard froze. 400 people. Music. Laughter. Champagne flutes in midair. All of it, suspended in stunned silence. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there with that sting blooming across my face, and I watched my mother avert her eyes like she didn't see a thing. My name is Vanessa. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Have you ever been humiliated by the one person you once protected with your whole heart? That Easter Sunday was supposed to be a celebration. My brother Caleb had rented out the most expensive vineyard outside Charleston. He'd hired a jazz band, had gold leaf on the cupcakes, flown in guests from all over. I wore a soft pink dress I'd saved up for, something spring-like and elegant. I even brought a hostess gift. But Caleb didn't invite me to honor me. He invited me to use me. Right before the slap, he'd handed me a microphone and smiled. Not a warm smile, the kind you feel in your gut. No, it was a showman's grin, practiced and hollow. Say a few words about the family, he said. You always loved playing little speeches. I started to speak. I thanked everyone for coming. I thanked our grandparents for starting the family tradition. I even thanked him for his generosity. And then I said one line that lit a fuse. And above all, I'm grateful that my brother's heart has healed. That he's found peace after all he's been through. That's when it happened. He stepped forward. Smiled like a devil in a suit. And slapped me. Hard. You don't speak for me, he said through clenched teeth. You don't know a damn thing. The band stopped playing. People gasped. Someone dropped a glass. I didn't flinch. I turned my face back toward him slowly, deliberately, cheek burning but eyes ice cold. Then I picked up my clutch, walked to the AV table and plugged in the USB drive I had brought, just in case. And when the video began to play, full volume in front of 400 people, the silence turned to chaos. Because it wasn't just any video. It was the one he thought I had deleted. The one that would turn his Easter resurrection into a public crucifixion. The fire had just begun to spread. And I would not be the one burned. The screen flickered to life. First the audio. Slurred words. Caleb's voice, unmistakable. She'll never find out, man. I moved it all before she got back. Pause. A laugh. She's too busy playing savior to realize her inheritance is gone. Then the video followed. Grainy but clear enough. Caleb in his office. Nighttime. Pulling open a safe. Taking out stacks of cash and documents. Talking to someone off camera. Vanessa doesn't need the house. I mean, come on, no kids, no husband. What's she gonna do? Teach her plants how to pay rent? There was a ripple in the crowd. A few gasps. One woman actually covered her mouth. A man stepped back like the screen had just spit fire. I stood still, hands clasped in front of me. My cheeks still throbbed, but I felt nothing but calm. The kind of eerie calm that comes right before a hurricane touches down. He lunged at the table. Turn it off, he yelled. But my tech friend Jalen, who I'd brought as a +1, stood guard like a quiet storm. Don't touch it, Jalen said coolly. It's synced to the cloud anyway. Pull the plug and it goes live on social. Caleb froze. He looked around and realized something terrifying. People weren't just watching. They were filming. My brother. The family golden boy, the high-powered financial advisor, the miracle comeback story after his embezzlement trial, was unraveling in real time. But what no one else knew was that this video wasn't the worst of it. He didn't just take from me. He signed my name, sold my house, gutted my trust fund, and funneled it into offshore accounts while I was grieving the loss of our father, the man who left it all to me. Family sticks together, he once said when I confronted him privately. You'll be fine. What's mine is mine and what was yours? Well, it's just paper, sis. That day I swallowed the betrayal. But I also swallowed something else. Strategy. I hired a forensic accountant. I tracked every dollar. I had him followed for 6 months. I learned his passwords, his tells, his secrets. He thought I was weak. But I was waiting. Waiting for the exact moment he tried to humiliate me in public. And now here we were, Easter Sunday. The wine still sweet. The band still frozen. Caleb? He was finally the one speechless. Because this party wasn't my downfall. It was the beginning of his reckoning. Caleb looked at me like he didn't recognize the woman standing in front of him. The woman he slapped. The woman he stole from. The woman who used to bake his favorite pumpkin bread every Thanksgiving. No. I was the woman who brought down his empire with a flash drive and a plan. My name is Vanessa. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Have you ever held back your scream so long it turned into silence that could slice through steel? That was me. Because after my dad died, everything shifted. Not just the will, though yes, the house was left to me, not Caleb. The accounts. The property. The lake cabin upstate. Dad's last words to me were, "You've always been the one with a good heart. Protect what's yours." But good hearts get eaten alive in families like mine. While I stayed back sorting funeral arrangements, Caleb was already in the lawyer's office. Lying. Manipulating. Swapping out POA documents, forging signatures, playing the trusted big brother card. The worst part. Everyone believed him. Even my Aunt Linda, Dad's own sister, said, "Well, honey, maybe your father meant to split everything but got confused before he passed." I felt like I was being erased from my own family history. And still I kept quiet. Why? Because I needed proof. Not just for me, but for what was coming. See, Caleb wasn't just greedy. He was careless. He moved money through shell companies but used old passwords. His offshore LLCs? All linked to email accounts that he never bothered deleting. And those emails, they told the real story. So I gathered. I documented. I waited. When the slap came, loud, shocking, in front of 400 guests, that was my green light. But I hadn't even dropped the hammer yet. Because the video, that was the appetizer. The main course. Let's just say the IRS was about to become his new best friend. And the dessert? A little something tucked in my purse, waiting for the end of the night. Something that would ensure he never set foot in that house again. Poetic justice doesn't rush. It arrives dressed in patience. And my patience was dressed to kill. The silence after the slap was a kind of violence. Forks stopped midair. Music screeched into awkward feedback. Some drunk guest muttered, "Did he just?" And I stood there, cheeks stinging, tears threatening but not falling. I reached into my purse. Not for a tissue. Not to run away. But for the flash drive. I held it up like a game show prize and smiled. "Play this," I said, handing it to the DJ whose jaw was still slack from what he'd just seen. Yow. My voice didn't shake. Because I wasn't scared anymore. I was done playing nice. The screen behind the stage flickered. Then Caleb's voice. Crystal clear. "Yeah, just move the rest of it to the Belize account. No, she won't know. She's too busy lighting candles for Dad's ghost or whatever." Laughter. His. Then more. "Dumb girl thinks the house is hers. Already pulled the will. It's gone. Who's gonna believe her over me?" Gasps rippled across the room. Aunt Linda dropped her wine glass. Mom sat down slowly like her knees gave out. And Caleb didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stood frozen like he could stop the bullets of truth with denial. But it kept playing. Him mocking Dad's hospice nurse. Him bragging about falsifying documents. Him saying, "Family doesn't mean anything. It's just branding." Then the final nail, a video clip. Hidden camera footage from Dad's study. Caleb switching envelopes the night before the will reading. Clear as daylight. I looked out at the sea of faces. Faces that used to dismiss me as just the little sister. Faces that called me too emotional, too quiet, too soft. Now they stared like they saw me for the first time. Caleb tried to speak. But no sound came out. The DJ muted the mic. I guess even he had picked a side. And that was just the start. The real revenge wasn't public humiliation. It wasn't the whispers that followed him as he fled the room. It was what I'd mailed 2 days ago to 4 government agencies. Signed, sealed, time-stamped. All I had to do now was let the storm I summoned finish what I started. Because when you plant poison in a garden, you better pray the roots don't remember your name. And I had watered mine in silence. By morning, the internet had done what the crowd at the party couldn't. They destroyed him. The video spread like wildfire. Someone uploaded it to Reddit with the title, entitled "Brother Steals Dying Father's House, Gets Exposed by Little Sister on Easter Sunday." Overnight it hit 1 million views. And the comments? Brutal. "How's that Belize account looking now, champ? Slapping your sister? Hope you enjoy orange jumpsuits. Girls got receipts and righteous rage, we stan." I didn't even post it. People at the party did. People who used to ignore me, laugh at me, pity me. Now they wanted interviews. Now I was brave. Now they remembered my name. Caleb tried to get ahead of it. Posted a teary apology video in his Tesla. But you can't cry your way out of a federal investigation. The IRS was already sniffing. So was Dad's estate lawyer. Turns out when you forge legal documents and steal inheritance, that's a felony. Several, actually. I sat on my front porch sipping coffee when the first knock came. Not reporters. Not police. She looked small. Worn down. Like guilt had finally found its way into her bones. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. I stared at her for a long moment. Then opened the door just enough for the truth to slip out. "You let him hit me." She flinched. I was in shock. "No, Mom. You were silent. That was a choice." Her lips trembled. I didn't know what to say. "You could have said my name." Silence stretched between us. Then from behind her a second knock. 2 men in suits. "Caleb Taylor?" one asked, though he was looking at me. I pointed next door. "His condo's that way. But don't worry, he's probably not far. He's always watching my house." They nodded. Turned. Walked away. I shut the door on my mother's stunned face. And for the first time since my father died, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel like someone's shadow. I felt like the storm that rolls in after the drought. Not loud. Not chaotic. Just inevitable. And the people who built their house on sand? Well, the tide was coming in. 2 days later, Caleb was arrested at a golf course. He was laughing over Bloody Marys with his investment buddies when they cuffed him in front of everyone, khakis and ego crumpled on the green. I didn't show up at the hearing, but I watched it all online. He tried to play the victim. Claimed it was a misunderstanding, that I'd doctored the footage, and that Dad had meant to leave everything to him. But the forensic analysis of the will shut that down fast. His signature didn't match. His fake notary was caught. And the Belize transfers? Every cent tracked. Embezzlement. Fraud. Assault. Elder abuse. They stacked like bricks. And with every charge read, I swear his shoulders sank a little more. The judge didn't flinch. No bail. He'd sit until trial. Now Mom. She became a ghost in her own house. Neighbors stopped waving. Church folks stopped calling. And her golden son stopped picking up her calls from jail. She knocked again one afternoon. "I didn't know how bad it was, Mia," she said, clutching a tray of lemon bars like that could fix years of betrayal. "My name is Mia. And from wherever you're watching this, I need you to really hear what I told her. Mom, you always said Caleb had potential. That he just needed more love. More chances. But you never gave those to me. I made mistakes. No. You made choices. You chose him. Again and again. Even when he slapped me. Even when I showed you proof." He started crying. But I'd cried too, the kind of tears that salt the earth. I didn't hate her. I just didn't owe her any more forgiveness than she ever gave me. I closed the door slowly. And on the other side, the silence wasn't sad. It was final. Later that night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened Dad's old vinyl player. Put on his favorite jazz record. Let it spin through the dusk. I poured a glass of red wine. And for the first time the house felt like mine. Not stolen. Not borrowed. Not earned through pain. Not because of blood. But because I fought for it. And sometimes the real inheritance is becoming the woman no one saw coming. Caleb's trial was televised. Small-town drama always makes for the best national headlines. Golden Son Gone Rogue trended for 4 days. They showed the slap. They showed the wire transfers. They showed Dad's shaky signature next to Caleb's forged notary stamp. I watched it all in silence. The courtroom was packed. Mom wore black like someone had died. Maybe she was mourning the version of her son she used to brag about. Or maybe she was mourning the illusion of control. I wore navy. No makeup. Hair tied back. They called me to the stand. And when the prosecutor asked how long Caleb had been stealing, I said clearly, "Since we were kids. First my toys. Then my friends. Then my father's trust. He just kept getting better at it." The defense tried to discredit me. Called me emotional. Said I had an agenda. So I leaned in. Looked straight at the jury. "I don't want revenge," I said. "I want protection. From people like my brother. People who use charm like a knife and family like a shield." I felt their eyes on me. And in that moment I knew they believed me. It took the jury less than 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. 15 years. No parole. I didn't cheer. I didn't cry. I walked out of that courtroom like I was stepping out of a storm. Finally dry. Back home, the invitations for Dad's memorial had just arrived. The real one, not the Easter circus Caleb had thrown for attention. This one was quiet. Respectful. Just how Dad would have wanted. I held the glossy card in my hand. White lilies embossed at the corners. And in bold black. In loving memory of John Thorne. Father. Man of honor. I closed my eyes and breathed in. Then I did something wild. I invited everyone. Even Mom. Even Caleb's daughter. The niece I barely knew because they'd kept her away from me for years. I mailed an invitation with a handwritten note. You're still family. If you want to know the truth, I'll be there. And the last one, I sent to Caleb. At the penitentiary. No return address. Just the card. And inside a single line. Every kingdom built on lies eventually crumbles. You just didn't expect yours to fall at my hands. Next up. One last reckoning. Because closure isn't found in a courtroom. It's found in the echoes that come after. The day of Dad's real memorial, the skies opened up like he'd ordered it himself. No spotlights, no champagne, no ego. Just soft rain on stone, and the people who truly knew him standing in silence. Mom came. Gray scarf, red eyes. Not a word from her. Not, hello, not, I'm sorry. Just stood stiff beside me like a stranger at a bus stop. But her hands trembled when the pastor read my eulogy. The one where I called out the strength it took for a man to raise 2 children and still believe in the goodness of people. And when I said, only one of his kids tried to be like him, her head dropped. My niece came too. Little Emma. Only 9, with her daddy's chin but not his eyes. She held my hand during the whole service. When it ended, she whispered, I watched the video. I'm sorry he did that to you. I bent down and said, you didn't choose what family you were born into. But you can choose who you become. She hugged me tighter than anyone had in months. After the service, I hosted lunch at the house. The one they tried to take from me. The one Caleb wanted to gift to Emma like I was some glorified babysitter with too much space. I let people roam the rooms. Let them see the photos, the memories, the warmth that money can't buy. And when Emma walked into the study and saw the photo of Dad teaching me how to ride a bike, with Caleb sulking in the background, she laughed. I bet he hated that. I winked. He did. Then I opened the drawer, pulled out a wrapped box and handed it to her. She gasped. For me. Inside was a letter from Dad. One he'd written years ago. For Emma when she's old enough to know who she is. It ended like this. Sweetheart, you deserve truth. You deserve kindness. And one day you'll understand the strength it took for your aunt to protect what matters. Even from your father. She held the letter to her chest and whispered, I want to be like you. And right there I knew. I had won. Not in court. Not with evidence. Not with anger. But with legacy. Let them build their lies. Let them scream their versions. I had the truth. And now so did the next generation.